In this video today, I want to talk about the importance of having a cash account in your retirement years, instead of having all of your money tied up in accounts that are inaccessible or at least not easily accessible. And here's why. A cash account acts like a financial buffer or a hedge of protection in turbulent or uncertain times. Kind of like we're going through right now. And here's what I mean. No matter how much you watch the news or you don't watch the news, I think that we can all agree there's a whole lot of stuff going on in our country right now, right? The United States is in a trade war with other countries. There's talk about tariffs and retaliatory tariffs. And there's a whole lot of saber rattling going on between the countries. And now they're saying that the tariffs have been delayed and they won't come into effect until sometime in mid-April. And as a result of all of this uncertainty, the stock market has dropped. The Feds are saying that the economy might slow down in the first quarter of 25. And now people are talking about how all of this could possibly lead to a recession or another recession. So what are we supposed to do in times like these? Especially if you're retired and everything's so uncertain. What are we supposed to do and how is it going to affect us and how is this going to affect our money? Well, I'd like to offer a few suggestions along those lines. But first, if you're seeing me for the first time, I'm Ronnie. Thanks for stopping by. And to everyone who's watching this video today, take 1 second to hit that thumbs up button that you'll find down below, because by doing so, it really helps the channel out, and I'll thank you in advance. So, back to the video. Here are 4 suggestions of what we should do in uncertain times like these. That includes the value of having a cash buffer. Number 1, hold your investments right now. Just hold on to them, or at least don't sell them in a panic. Now, there are times when it's a good idea to sell your investments when the market is down, because everybody's situation is unique and you should seek the advice of your financial advisor at times like this. But I think we all can agree that it's never a good idea to panic sell. Because when the market is down, it's easy to get into a panic, to get emotional, and then sell your investments based upon current trends. And that's what they are. They're just current trends. And there's a big risk in doing this, because when the market is down, you sell your assets at the bottom and take a huge loss when you sell. On a day-to-day basis, the stock market is very dramatic. It's up and down and in and out and back and forth, because Wall Street is simply responding to the news. Let me say that again. They are simply responding to the news, just like they're doing right now. Whatever the market is doing today, whatever the market is going to do tomorrow, and whatever the market did today, is simply a snapshot in time. It's just a snapshot. But when you zoom out and take a look at the big picture, you will see that the stock market has consistently gone up over the last 100 years. And even though there is a downturn right now based upon the news cycle, there's going to be a rebound. There always is. The market self-corrects. And if you've got the time to ride it out, then do exactly that. Just ride it out. And if you don't have the time to ride it out, then you should seek the advice of a professional financial advisor. But in the meantime, just don't panic sell. Number 2, this is why we need a cash buffer, because a cash buffer helps you ride out uncertain times like these. When you have immediate access to cash, it gives you a buffer or a hedge of protection when the market is down or the economy is uncertain. I mean, interest rates are high and the market is down. It's just a bad case scenario, almost like a perfect storm. But this is why we need a cash account or a cash buffer. This could be a simple savings account, an emergency fund, or a bridge account. Some people like to refer to these as one of the retirement buckets in your retirement, a cash bucket. And here's why it's so important. Cash is king. Nothing takes the place of cash, especially in our retirement years. Whatever money you have invested in the stock market right now is converted into shares. It's no longer cash, it's shares. right? Now, if the market goes up or the market goes down, whatever those earnings or losses are, it's just all on paper. And the only way that you can liquidate your shares or gain access to the cash is to sell those shares. Now, of course, we all know that. But who wants to do that just to make ends meet, especially if the market is down? Now, this is where having a cash buffer really comes into its own. No matter what the market is doing right now, no matter what it did yesterday, and no matter what it's going to do tomorrow, over the year 2025 for that matter, you can just ride it out if you've got the cash to ride it out. A cash buffer, that is. No freaking out, no meltdowns, no panic selling. You can just remain cool, calm, and collected with your emotional temperature holding steady at 98.6. All the time, just 98.6. Now, this is the benefit of having a cash buffer. That's the benefit of being resilient. And that's the benefit of being self-reliant instead of being at the mercy of the economy, the government, or the market, all of which are beyond our control. Number 3, a cash buffer can also supplement your Social Security. Let me tell my own personal story here. During all of my working years, not only was I making contributions to my retirement accounts, such as my IRA or my SEP account and so forth, I was saving as much money as I possibly could and then putting it into a simple savings account, a high yield savings account or a money market account. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to have a source of cash in my retirement years that the taxes had already been paid on and my obligations met, so that I could use that money in my retirement years any way that I wanted to use it without the government having any say-so in the matter. For instance, if you have money in a tax-sheltered account, an IRA, and you take that money out, you're going to have to pay taxes on it. The man's going to get his cut. If you have money in the market and you sell it out, and you're going to have to pay taxes on any earnings that you have left. You know how it is. The government you always have to pay taxes. The government always gets their cut. They always want to reach their hand into the cookie jar. And if you ask me, sometimes I think they're doing an overreach. However, this bucket of cash, your cash buffer on the other hand, it's all mine. My obligations have already been met. So when I retired, I've been able to use that money any way that I wanted to, and with no outside interference from the government about it. For instance, if I had decided to draw Social Security at 62, when you draw Social Security at 62, then they put a income limit cap on how much money you can earn before your benefit is penalized. If I had chosen to draw my Social Security at 62, that you take a 30% reduction in your Social Security, I could have supplemented that lower Social Security with money from that savings account without my benefit being penalized. As it turned out, I didn't draw Social Security early or at 62. I waited until my full benefit age, and I still use that cash buffer or cash bucket the very same way. I use that money from my savings account to pad my Social Security that I get each month. And these two sources of income right there are more than enough for my needs. Our retirement expenses are very low. It's probably due to the fact that we are 100% debt-free, mortgage-free. We live a modest lifestyle, and we live in a lower cost of living area in North Florida. And those two sources of income right there, my Social Security and a slight drawdown on my savings account, in which taxes have already been paid, are more than enough for me. Now, what that means in a practical sense is that I don't even have to touch my retirement accounts. I can if I want to. I don't need them. And so they are allowed to sit there, earning interest and growing in the market or growing where they have been placed. And I don't even have to touch them until I am required to take mandatory withdrawals in my 70s. This is the value of having a cash buffer. You can ride it out, market upturns and downturns, and you can ride out uncertain economic times in the economy. and it acts as a supplement to your Social Security. And then number 4, a cash buffer gives me more control and autonomy over my own life. Now listen to this. There are so many things out there that are beyond my control that if I didn't have any means of self-determination, then I would be completely at the mercy of these outside forces. A cash account or a cash buffer gives me stability and security so that I'm able to call the shots in my own life, or at least some of the shots, not all of them. Plus, an emergency fund provides a safety net for unexpected expenses or income disruptions. For example, this past week, my wife's car broke down. She drives a small SUV, and the starter went out, and there were some other related things associated with it, and the mechanical bill turned out to be $1,100. Now, I don't know about you, but $1,100 is a lot of money to us. I mean, it's a lot of money. It may not be to some people. They just probably don't even blink at it. But for us, that's an amount. That was a big amount for us. But fortunately, we had the money. It was sitting there in our savings account. I have one and she has one. The money was sitting there in our savings account, and we were able to just pay the bill and be done with it instead of putting it on a credit card at 32% interest. You see, when you have an emergency fund, you don't have emergencies. You have hiccups or a bump in the road or inconveniences. Did I want to spend the $1,100? Of course not. But I'm glad that we had it because we were able to repair her car and life moves on for us. In other words, cash is king. That's why we need a cash buffer. Now, being able to call the shots and having more control over your own life and having more autonomy over your own life, with that in mind, and having the repair of her car, with that in mind, let's zoom out and look at this on a bigger scale on a national level. I've lived long enough to see 18 presidential elections come and go. And I began voting, coincidentally, when I was 18 years old. And I've been voting ever since. I still continue to vote to this day in state, local, and national elections. And yet, for the most part, not much has changed in my 67 trips around the sun. Or at least the economy is still uncertain, as it always has been, and my vote hasn't had much of an influence on the big picture. There's just too many other factors out there besides my personal vote that actually controls the outcome of things, right? And so while I think it's important for me to do my civic duty and be involved in the process, it's far more important, for me at least, to ensure my own financial independence as much as I possibly can, regardless of what the government or the economy is doing at any given moment in time. And here's what I mean. During every single election cycle, the pendulum just swings back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And you know what? It's been doing this my entire life. It has. It's just been swinging back and forth, back, no matter how much I vote, no matter how much I get angry or how much I get happy, the pendulum just swings back and forth, and it's been doing this my entire life. Now when the pendulum swings back and forth like this is how fortunes are made and lost by all of the big boys out there. But for somebody like me, just a regular working class guy who lives in small town America, I don't have enough of an insider's angle to make the system work for me like that. While the big boys are at cocktail parties deciding how millions of dollars are to be moved around and fortunes are being made, I'm having to do everything that I can possibly do to provide for myself on pure grit and determination. And I'm certainly not going to put myself into a position where I am overly dependent upon the government, because everything changes every 4 to 8 years. But you know what? There's a lot of things that I can't control, but there are a lot of things that I can control. I can control my savings. I can control my spending. I can control my budget. I can control my lifestyle, and I can control my emotions. I can choose to not have a freak out or a meltdown every time that things don't go my way. I can take charge of my own life instead of hoping that the government will become my financial savior. I can build up my own nest egg, and then I can put my eggs in my own basket instead of somebody else's basket, hoping that they will come through for me when I need them the most, because generally speaking, they won't. I'll tell you what I want more than anything else out of life, and what I want more than anything else in my retirement years. I want financial independence and personal freedom. I just want to be left alone. That's what I want. I just want to be left alone. I want to have financial independence and my own personal freedom without having to be overly dependent upon the government, the bank, the market, or the man. I would rather be a free man living in the desert than to be a slave living in the land of Egypt under the control of Pharaoh. Wouldn't you? So there you go. This is why I think it's so important for me, at least, to have some type of cash buffer in my retirement years, because it provides a hedge of protection. It gives me breathing room. It can supplement my Social Security. It gives me control and autonomy over my life. I can ride out uncertain times. It's just a great plan to have in place for your life. So tell me, what do you think about this? Leave me a comment below and tell me what you think, and tell me how it's going for you. Please feel free to like and subscribe. I'm Ronnie. Take care, and we'll see you next time.